Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a truly fascinating dynamic that plays out in millions of American homes every single day. I like to call it the ultimate pet paradox. Just think about your own life for a second. You probably work 40 hours a week, maybe more, just to afford premium treats, orthopedic beds, and top-tier vet care for a creature that literally sleeps for most of the day. Honestly, it's a completely lopsided relationship when you really look at the economics of it, isn't it? We pour all our time, energy, and hard-earned money into these animals, and yet, we're absolutely thrilled to do it.
So that brings us to a pretty fundamental question. Who is really the boss here? You buy their food, you clean up their messes, and yet, with just one look, one gentle purr, or one tiny paw resting on your arm, they totally control your actions. In this explainer, we're going to expose the absolute genius behind this whole dynamic. We're talking about literal, evolutionary, emotional blackmail. These animals are using deeply ingrained biological tactics to make us fall hopelessly in love with them. And spoiler alert, they are incredibly good at it.
Now, as we go through this little scientific expose, make sure you stick around for a specific revelation coming up about dogs. We're going to look at the exact hidden mechanism behind why your dog always seems to know when you've had a rough day. It's this brilliant piece of biology that's going to completely change how you view your dog's comforting nudges. But hey, before we get to our canine friends, we absolutely have to start with the undisputed masters of the craft.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Feline Mind Control and the Subtle Psychology of Cats.
For thousands of years, cats have carried this reputation for being aloof, super independent, and okay, maybe even a little arrogant. But when you look at the behavioral science, a wildly different picture emerges. They aren't just aloof roommates, they are psychological geniuses who have studied us for millennia. Just look at the contrast in communication. In the wild, adult cats communicate almost entirely through scent, subtle body language, or maybe an aggressive hiss or yowl. But domesticated feline communication, it's entirely different. Fact number 1, adult cats do not meow at other cats. The standard meow is a customized language that cats literally invented specifically to talk to humans. Over thousands of years, they realized we are incredibly vocal creatures, and if they wanted our attention, they had to speak our language. So, they learned to speak up.
But it goes so much deeper and way more manipulative than just saying hello. Have you ever wondered why you physically cannot ignore a hungry cat rubbing against your legs in the morning? Well, scientists have identified something called the solicitation purr. When a cat wants food or attention, they don't just purr normally. No, they actively embed this high-pitched cry directly into their soothing purr. And here's the absolute kicker. The frequency of this hidden cry is eerily identical to the acoustic frequency of a human baby crying.
So when you hear that solicitation purr, you're not just giving them a treat because they look cute. Your mammalian brain is literally screaming, "Feed the baby!" It completely bypasses your logic and directly hacks your deepest caregiving instincts. It's the ultimate flawless form of emotional blackmail. And let's be real, it works on us every single time.
Now, it isn't strictly about manipulation. There's some really deep affection here, too. Consider the slow blink. If your cat sits across the room, looks directly at you, and slowly closes and opens their eyes, they aren't just getting sleepy. You have to remember, in the harsh reality of the wild, voluntarily closing your eyes in front of a larger animal is a massive, highly dangerous display of vulnerability.
So by giving you that slow blink, your cat is effectively telling you, "I trust you with my life." Animal behaviorists actually call these kitty kisses. It's a profound compliment in their language. In fact, next time your cat does this, try slow blinking right back at them. You'll literally be speaking their custom-built language of trust. And what about when they aggressively headbutt your shin or your chin? Science calls this bunting. Cats have specialized scent glands on their cheeks, forehead, and chin, so when they smash their little faces into you, they're doing two things at once. They're showing immense affection, sure, but more importantly, they are violently rubbing their unique pheromones all over you. They're basically putting a giant invisible mind sign on you, so every other animal in the neighborhood knows you're spoken for. Let's get one thing straight. You don't own the cat owns you. Which brilliantly brings us to Section 2, Canine Emotional Manipulation, and the undisputed champions of emotional gravity.
If cats are the stealthy masters of subtle psychology, dogs are the heavyweights of pure, overwhelming emotion. We have all melted under the crushing weight of puppy dog eyes, right? Well, did you know that look is a direct result of human-driven evolution? Scientists compared the facial structures of wild wolves to domesticated dogs and found something absolutely astonishing. Dogs have developed a highly specific muscle above their eyes. Wolves simply do not have this. This muscle allows dogs to raise their inner eyebrows, making their eyes look dramatically larger, more infant-like, and profoundly sad. Tens of thousands of years ago, the wolves that could best mimic human sadness were the ones we pitied, sheltered, and fed. So yeah, dogs literally evolved a physical tool strictly to manipulate our empathy.
In the chemical response to this tool, it's staggering. When a dog gives you that sad, soulful look, it triggers a massive release of a hormone in your brain called oxytocin, the love hormone. This is the exact same chemical flood a mother experiences when she looks at her newborn baby. But here's the truly incredible part, the oxytocin loop. When you and your dog lock eyes, your brain releases the love hormone, and your dog's brain releases it too. You are mutually, biologically getting high on love. Literally, no other animal on Earth shares this specific cross-species gaze loop with humans.
But the canine connection goes way beyond just looking cute and sharing hormones. Remember earlier when I said dogs know when you're having a bad day? It all comes down to a staggering number. A dog's sense of smell is anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 times more sensitive than a human's. It's a biological superpower, allowing them to read our internal states better than we can read ourselves.
So when you're sad, anxious, or sick, and your dog refuses to leave your side, they aren't just guessing based on your posture. They are literally smelling your emotions. When we experience stress or fear, our bodies release specific hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and our sweat composition changes instantly. We can't smell it, but to a dog's superpowered nose, a stressed human smells like a blaring fire alarm. Studies even show that dogs can detect a human panic attack before the person themselves even realizes it's happening.
And once they detect that chemical siren, their instinctual pack behavior kicks right in. Have you ever had a dog come over and heavily lean their entire body weight against your legs when you're upset? They are performing natural deep pressure therapy. In their minds, you're in a vulnerable state, and they are actively attempting to physically shield, protect, and soothe you. It is this incredibly profound display of empathy driven entirely by their nose.
Which brings us to the grand unifying question in Section 3, the science of cuteness, and why our brains are so easily hacked. Why are we perfectly content to let the cat wake us up at 4 a.m. and let the dog take up 70% of the mattress? Well, science calls it the baby schema, or Kindchenschema. This is the evolutionary programming deeply embedded in the human brain that literally forces us to nurture and protect creatures displaying specific juvenile traits. Our very survival as a species depended on us fiercely loving and protecting vulnerable human babies. Look at the specific visual triggers of this baby schema: a proportionally large head, big round eyes, chubby cheeks, and slightly clumsy movements. Our pets retain these juvenile baby-like traits for their entire adult lives. They are walking, breathing biological triggers. They have permanently hacked the most fundamental caregiving instincts we possess. We really don't have a choice in the matter. On a neurological level, we literally cannot help but love them. And that leads us to our final takeaway in Section 4, our greatest gift: unfiltered love in a chaotic world.
We've uncovered the science, the biological hacks, the tailored meows, and the evolved eyebrow muscles. But when you strip all that clinical science away, what are we left with? We're left with something incredibly pure in a world that often feels relentlessly stressful. Whether they're meowing at the exact frequency of a crying infant for a midnight snack, or using a specialized eye muscle to beg for your dinner, we honestly don't mind. The pure, unfiltered companionship of a dog or a cat is perhaps one of the greatest gifts of the human experience. Sure, they might be tiny emotional manipulators using millennia of evolutionary blackmail against us, but they are our tiny emotional manipulators, and our lives would be remarkably empty without them. So I want to leave you with this final question to think about. What kind of emotional blackmail does your pet use on you? Do they give you those giant puppy dog eyes? Do they scream for food like a tiny human? Take a moment today to really observe your furry best friend, recognize the absolute genius of their evolutionary tactics, and then, you know what? Go ahead and give them a treat anyway. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will catch you next time.